a race of evolved apes that stands between humans and animals, dwellers of the icy north with thick white fur. A unique society and culture, we bring you the Beastmen of Brutheim from the Hyborian age of Conan the Barbarian. Let's go! But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who are the Beastmen of Brutheim? A humanoid species with ape-like features, the Beastmen were larger and stronger than average humans. They had very sharp fangs, really long limbs, and sloped foreheads. They shared traits with humans and snow apes, and hence lie somewhere in the middle, making them an evolutionary anomaly. As a society, they focused on dominance, capture, and victory. Unlike other civilizations of the Hyborian era, Beastmen's sole focus was on survival. This focus on survival and conquest made them dangerous opponents with great strength. Along with their physicality, they were smarter than primitive apes. They made tools and weapons to fight and made complicated machines for battle. They had also built an underground city for living. The Beastmen lived in the icy north as a hidden species from the rest of the world. Their society had a hierarchy where they were divided into different sections, and they were ruled by King Gokri. Although this paints them as a formidable force, their inability to evolve and adapt to the times proved detrimental to their survival. Where did the Beastmen come from? After the Great Cataclysm, a comic book event that is comparable to the Great Flood in mythology, the snow apes were moved further into the icy wastes by the ancestors of the Hyborians. These apes learned to survive in the vicious, cold, and heartless environment, and over thousands of years evolved into newer species. One of these species was Beastman. In the early Hyborian age, a wanderer who had traveled into the icy wastes came back with the discovery that those lands were inhabited by the descendants of the snowmen, the same snowmen who had been pushed out by the Proto-Hyborians. It was decided, based on the wanderer's information, that these beasts must be exterminated. A war party was formed to be sent up north to end the Beastmen before they could grow and take over the world of men. But they underestimated the apes. The small war party was ambushed by a large group of Beastmen and was defeated. They didn't kill all the humans, but instead kept them as slaves. They even abducted women from nearby villages for the slaves to procreate so that they would never run out of slaves in the future. They also studied human weapons, learning more about these tools and their use in warfare. What was Brutheim, the land of always light? Brutheim was the home city of the Beastmen. They didn't always live there. They actually found an abandoned city near the Cimmerian border. It was underground and was said to have been made by an earlier race of men in Asgard. The city was always bathed in a mysterious light, even though it was buried under the ice. The glow came from crystals that were embedded in the walls. We never get to know the true origin of these crystals. Some say it was from a meteor strike, while others alluded to it as magic. Nonetheless, this continuous mystical glow gave Brutheim its second name, Land of Always Light. The city was developed like a fortress so it could withstand attacks and always be ready for action. But the underground location made it difficult to find food, tirelessly to maintain the city while the ruling classes indulged in power. What were the powers and abilities of the Beastmen? The Beastmen did not possess any supernatural powers. What they possessed was a white fur-like coat on their bodies that protected them from the extreme cold. Their ape-like build gave them above-average human strength, along with advanced agility to cover distances and climb over structures. Some of them did grow up to be even 8 feet tall. These were generally a part of the security force known as the Brutorian Guards. They were skilled in battle and used weapons like pikes and spears and protective gear such as helmets and armor. As mentioned before, they did have intellectual abilities as they made complicated war machines and could strategize in battle and fight in coordination. One ability that did stand out was their heightened sense. Being part ape, they could smell and see better than humans and hence could rule the icy wastes as the top predator. Who were the key figures among the Beastmen? Gantor. He was a huge beastman standing at 8 feet 10 inches tall and likely had superhuman strength. He was the first of these humanoids that Conan encountered. Gantor appears in the lore as a lone survivor, not with the rest of the Beastmen. When he sees Conan, he feels that Conan is too small to offer a challenge, but he's proven wrong and ultimately slain by Conan. Whether he wanted to attack Conan for personal reasons or wanted to take him to Brutheim is unclear. But this face-off led Conan to be captured by the Beastmen when he was led into a trap by Moira, who had seen Conan's encounter with Gantor. Gahkree. He was the king of the Beastmen and was known for his brutal and tyrannical rule. He wore a crown made from the teeth of tusk bears. Moira, who trapped Conan, was Gahkee's personal handmaid. He was a violent ruler known for his Gahkee games and perished in the rebellion led by Conan. Harland and Zagor. The two Bretonnian guards who captured Conan after being led by Moira were the biggest of the Beastmen. While Harland wore a green helmet and mail, Zagor, the bigger of the two, could be seen wearing red and orange. They brought Conan to Brutheim and started beating him to subdue him into becoming a slave. However, Gahkree sent him to the games. Conan killed Zagor later during the rebellion, and it's presumed that Harland either died during the chaos or fled with the remaining Beastmen. What were the games of Gahkree? They could be better understood as a parallel to Rome's Colosseum. This was the biggest event in Brutheim and for all the Beastmen. All the members gathered to witness the event supreme. It was actually violent entertainment created by subjecting humans they considered too volatile to be servants or slaves to gruesome animals and war machines. It meant almost certain death and very little chance of survival for the participants. Brutheim's war machines, such as battering rams and catapults, were an attraction of these games and were sometimes used against the participants along with the merciless Bretonnian guards. As for the name of the games, most likely they got renamed in line with the king sitting on the throne, as they were suspected to exist before Gahkree. Who were the thralls of the Beastmen? Remember the first war party that had been sent to vanquish the apes? Some of them had been captured by the Beastmen and put into slavery. The descendants of these men came to be known as thralls. They were essentially slaves who would do everything and anything their masters desired. They were mostly used as menial labor, construction, and servitude. However, not all of them were descendants. The Beastmen kept kidnapping new humans and got them paired with women to produce more thralls. They were kept in dark barracks, blocked off from the rest of the city. Whenever the games took place, they were made to see the violence from a wooden cage. This was to remind them of the consequence of defying the Beastmen. The thralls had a chief who led them. The most recent, during the time of Conan, was Kiord. The mantle of the chief was passed down from generation to generation. Moira was also a thrall, highly favored by King Gahkree. Kiord had a wife too, and he turned out to be an integral part of the rebellion and saving Conan, which we'll soon discuss later in the video. What role did Conan play in the downfall of the Beastmen? This is where all the points we've discussed so far collide. After Conan defeats the huge Gantor, Moira leads him into a trap. Since she was a human, Conan followed her, and he was ambushed by Harland and Zagor. Conan was hit on the head with a pike, chained, and taken to Brutheim. The two Bretonnian guards decided to beat Conan and get him to become a slave, just like the thralls. But Conan refused. King Gahkree came to see this new captive and decided that he was too volatile to become a slave, and hence he ordered Conan to be sent to the games of Gahkree as a fighter. When Conan was in the slave quarters, he met Kiord, who was the chief of the thralls. Conan asked him to rebel against the tyrants and be free. But Kiord, brainwashed by years of slavery, believed they were meant to serve, and it was his job to protect the thralls as long as he could. But that was not the complete truth. Kiord often dreamt of freedom and not being a slave. He had secretly fashioned a dagger long ago from obsidian to kill himself if it ever got to be too much for him. So when Conan was thrown into the games and thralls were put in wooden cages to witness his death, something moved in Kiord when he saw Conan standing up and not resorting to servitude. He had given his dagger to Conan, who used it to kill the snow lion. Seeing Conan's courage, he breaks the cage and initiates the rebellion. They soon took control of a battering ram before killing Zagor and aimed it straight for the area housing King Gahkree. The tyrant king perished in this revolt. Most of the Beastmen died in the rebellion, and the rest were believed to have fled. Conan took the crown of Gahkree and placed it on Kiord's head, making him king. He asked the survivors to tell the tale of Kiord, the king who led them from slavery to victory. What were the snow lions and tusk bears? These two were species of animals who existed in the northernmost areas where beastmen lived. The snow lion was basically a large lion that had white fur all over. The barbarians were fearful of them, but Conan had never seen one of them until the games when he was face to face with one. He was surprised and a little scared when he saw the snow lion first, but then was able to kill it using the obsidian dagger given to him by Kiord. As for tusk bears, we can only guess. They were most likely extinct by the time Conan reached Brutheim. King Gokri mentioned at one point that these animals had been long dead. How they died is another unsolved mystery. They could have been hunted to extinction by beastmen or by some other animals or tribe. We can only assume that they were bear-like creatures with either very long canine teeth or tusks. The crown of Gokri was made out of the teeth of tusk bears. What happened to the beastmen after their defeat? Although there is no concrete answer to this question, a few things can be assumed. Given the beastmen were far greater in numbers than the thralls, not all of them would have died. Some of them would have escaped and carried on surviving. Since the Conan era happened a long time ago, they might have evolved into a newer race or a more civilized version of beastmen. But yes, one thing is for certain. They were definitely weakened as a result of the rebellion, and the beastmen and their Brutheim never regained their former glory. Conclusion. The tale of the Beastmen is a reminder of the importance of adaptability and also has multiple parallels with the actual world. It also has hints of the colonial lens when it comes to dealing with other races. Nonetheless, the Beastmen and the Land of Always Light remain an amazing storytelling element of Howard's work. Check out our channel for more such videos, and we'll see you soon in another episode. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.